diverse ecosystem that's in our skin. This lovely creature is Demodex, a tiny little mite that lives on a variety of mammals, including humans, usually on our faces, who go about their business of consuming dead skin and oily residues without bothering us too much. These are Candida albicans, a yeast, a type of fungi normally found on our skin and kept in check by certain bacteria. An example of what is known as commensalism, where species benefit from the actions of other species. And this one, Malassezia, I think that's how you pronounce it, another fungi. Again, in balance, it is part of it's part of a commensal relationship with species of bacteria feeding on fatty deposits. And Dr. James Hamblin reports in his book Clean that our sweat contains peptides that are antimicrobial and able to maintain and restore microbial balance. As he says, if you ever feel self-conscious about sweating, tell those around you that your body is simply partaking in an elaborate and mysterious biochemical ballet. So this is our biological ecology, our biochemical ballet, a complex biological system of interspecies communication, relationships, and community. We are encased in a diverse nature environment. In fact, we are nature. We are not an I, a mammal. We are multi-organismic beings. It is a ballet also performed throughout the Earth's ecologies. In Overstory, Richard Powers describes how fungal hyphae, the countless miles of filament folded up in every spoon of soil, coax open tree roots and tap into them, enabling the wired up fungi to feed the tree minerals. Something marvelous is happening underground. Something we're just learning to see. Mats of mycorrhizal cabling link trees into gigantic smart communities. However, we have denigrated and mistreated soil in the same way we have our own body ecology. And what they share in common is the tag of dirt, a sense of being unclean. Val Curtis, who Hamblin calls the world's leading disgustologist, researched people's responses to what she calls filthy, sticky, oozing matter. And the key response was a powerful feeling of disgust. This disgust has a purpose, of course, to protect ourselves from infectious diseases and help us to avoid pathogenic substances. But it can also contribute to what Andrea Olson describes as our ambivalence about the cyclic processes of digestion and elimination, or about death returning components of our body to the soil that makes us avoid, denigrate, and potentially destroy this essential ground. She's talking about soil, but it relates to our own microbiome as well. This disgust links to a fear of pathology and death that can cause us to deny the depth of our own ecology, our place within nature. Ernest Becker tells us, the irony of the human condition is that the deepest need is to be free of the anxiety of death and annihilation, but it is life itself that awakens it. The irony is also that life, for all beings, human and non-being, is in our mutual dependence. As Dieter says, we are connected to our environment in ways we never dreamed of. The new biology has found that only 1% of genetic material guiding the development and behavior of what we call I is from human genes, and 99% from microbial genetic material. So as he says, who's driving the bus? And I want to briefly bring Jane Bennett in here, who has theorized a vital materiality that infuses all bodies and things, human and non-human, and that will emphasize, even overemphasize, the agentic contributions of non-human forces in an attempt to counter the narcissistic reflex of human language and thought. She uses words such as liveliness and vibrancy to describe this vital materiality, echoing Becker's life itself. She uses the term assemblages to describe the locus of agency as always a human, non-human working group. We are not the individual or genteel beings we thought that we were. Bacteria communicate through a means that scientists have called quorum sensing. These bacterial cell-to-cell signaling systems are creating chemical environments that are capable of driving human behaviour. Coming back to my earlier assertion that Staph aureus was a key actant in bringing me here today. And this all raises important questions and implications for the role of somatic movement practices. Firstly, through the work of touch, Hamblin suggests that the benefits of touch may be as much about the needs of our microbiome as anything else, the necessary sharing of microbes that drives our evolution. And touch can be, a vital and lovely part of any movement practice. In my own practice, I have found that practicing self-touch with an awareness of my microbiome is delightful, soft, graceful, and profound. Often movement practice, either alone or practiced with others, is begun by moving first with a sense of self, then a sense of the external environment, the context of where I am, and then a sense of relationship with other. I have understood this as a process of connection, and it is a good process. However, thanks to my lovely, disgusting co-creators, co-actants in this assemblage of my multi-organism, I have discovered that it is a place as well as a process. And my microbiome enables me to move between place and process. And it is this moving between which I believe can be the moment of transformation. I am already and always nature. I am ecology, a diverse assemblage of actants. And I am separate, exploring, becoming. Consider also one-to-one somatic co-creative work, working with interoceptive sensing to attune to our client's embodied experience, to notice any sensation that may not be ours. So gently, with open inquiry, sharing this as an offer of information that can support the person to feel witnessed, deepening our co-creative relationship and contributing also to this journey of becoming. But what is actually going on in this attunement? I'd always understood it as a kind of energetic resonance that could come about because I practiced or trained myself, I suppose, to be present to my own interoceptive experience, whilst also staying present to the other. But now that smacks to me of human self-importance, separating myself as the only conscious agent in this situation. Now I suspect, and it makes sense to me, that my microbiome is communicating, tuning into the other, multiple actants of the human, non-human working group or assemblage that we're creating in that co-creative situation. And what this requires from me is not skill or practice, but care and respect for my diverse multi-organismic ecology, which is all ecology. Laidlaw quotes Karen Barrett's call for a repositioning of human bodies as emergent and neither pure cause nor pure effect, but part of the world in its open-ended becoming. She goes on to say, through the lens of a genteel realism, dances may be more correctly described as intra-actions that contribute to the co-becoming of the world and performances more specifically. And I would add that this is true whether we are dancing, moving in a human group, with one other human, or with non-humans in the assemblage of our microbial and wider ecology. And this is not always easy. Bennett writes, Even if, as I believe, the vitality of matter is real, it will be hard to discern it, and once discerned, hard to keep focus on. It's too close and too fugitive, as much wind as thing, impetus as entity, a movement always on the way to becoming otherwise, an effluence that is vital and engaged in trajectories, but not necessarily in tension. It is hard to stay attentive to this ecology we can't see. And I found that with my own movement practice, that I focus for a while and then it kind of goes because I can't see it. It's got this kind of nebulous, is that the right word? Kind of beingness. Which is why improvised movement and its flow, authenticity, and improvisational nature is the perfect means to sense into that wind and follow trajectories with no need to engage in intention, just becoming. So let's move a little with what time we have left and our situation with lots of chairs. So when I began to move with my microbiome, I found Rodney Dietert's analogy of it as being akin to the diversity of rainforest or a coral reef useful. He describes similarities in the layers of the rainforest, from the tallest trees providing the forest canopy, teeming with wildlife, the moist understory ideal for snakes and bats, and then the forest floor busy decomposing plant material, home to worms, termites, ants, and fungi. And similarly, millions of species live within coral reefs, and they also have bacterial and viral partners. They are a vital unit of evolution. Coral reefs have vibrant, almost fluorescent colours when they are healthy. Somatic movement is imaginal, as Nita Little reminded us yesterday. And I invite you now to sense into your own microbiome, using these images if they're helpful. So, you may just want to stay sitting where you are. You may want to find a little bit of space, but I suggest that you stand up. And whatever images, so like the rainforest, coral reef, or just the sense of that teeming diversity of these little microorganisms, Demodex and Candida albicans and little bacteria, Staph aureus. And just for a moment, so if we just center in, just, have a little wiggle, feel your feet in the ground, notice your breath. And then using this sense of the imaginal, just to start by just touching the back of one of your hands with the other hand, but with the sense that you are touching into this diversity of life, this teeming world of multi-species, thousands, millions, trillions of species, life going on beneath your hand, on your skin, on your body, and moving up to other parts of your body that you can reach, keeping your hand on skin rather than clothes, and just really feeling into a tender, gentle relationship. Like beneath the palm of your hand, there is this whole world, this whole universe of life taking place right underneath our hands. And just really sense into that for a few moments. Sometimes it can help to keep your hands still in one place, or to gently move into stroke. Feeling that we're listening in this amazing ecology of beingness. It is more than just an I. It's a we. And then going back to the image of the coral reef, and that sense of fluorescent light, maybe releasing that touch and starting just to move very gently and slowly with a sense that it's not just our hand or our arm moving, but it's also, again, this diverse ecology, these trillions and trillions of microbial beings moving with us. And as we move, they leave a kind of trail of fluorescent, vibrant, colourful light in the space around us. And then just pausing in that moment. And then I'd like to invite you just to experience this with touch with another human body near you, if you're happy to do that, and you both are happy to consent to that. Just with hands, just gently touching into somebody else's skin with that sense, again, of this diverse life. Just if you're happy to, and if you want to carry on working on your own, just going back to self-touch with that same understanding. And then just letting your partner go, and coming back to humanness in this room. Because I'm running out of time. Sorry. Just carry on. But I just want to leave you with this quote from Jen Bennett. Vital materialists, ourselves who live at Earth, who are more alert to the capacities and limitations, the jizz of the various materials that they are. If environmentalism leads to a call for the protection and wise management of an ecosystem that surrounds us, a vital materialism suggests that the task is to engage more strategically with a trenchant materiality that is us as it buys with us in agentic assemblages. Thank you very much.
So much, Lin. I think we've still got 5 minutes.
Oh, okay.
If there are any questions or responses that the audience might like to make. Okay.
Thank you for that. Really gross and great. I'm interested, you mentioned about taking a break from your PhD.
Yes.
How is this experience and this kind of strand of what you've been exploring, do you think that's going to then inform or change or mutate your PhD in some way?
Yes. Yeah, it has done a little bit. Well, because I kind of went, because my PhD is about how movement practices can, particularly improvised movement, can help people who've got anxiety or chronic fear, dysregulation. And a kind of, in terms of field work, because I'm in my first year, I was hadn't got very far before I had to take a break. In my field work, I kind of wasn't sure about whether to move inside the studios or a combination of outside. I always do my practice outside, but for various reasons, I kind of, and then for a while, as I was off with these skin problems and, you know, this relationship with nature and not getting out and all the rest, and started, I thought, no, it's got to be outside. But then as I kind of started thinking more about this vital materialism, that we are that thing that we are nature, we are ecology, wherever we are, whether it's in a studio or outside is lovely, but we can be with that nature, that ecology, wherever we are. And you know, we don't have to go out. And that's, I think that's really important. I've never kind of looked at it in this way, that the kind of, you know, what we see is this sort of human world that we've created as being somehow less than nature. If that kind of makes sense. So, yeah, I think that answers it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. If that's all right, I think we are out of time.
All right, thank you again.
Yeah, so yes.
What about?
Not too much. But it's cool. And then we also have seminars with staff, which is theoretical. The descriptions online, but keep an eye on students.
Get feedback.
Yeah, you'll know. Oh,
It tends, I think,
Okay.
to actually
Right.
doing what I've been doing. This 6
Thanks very much.
that's it. I can do it.
I don't know what I'm going to do next.
All right, you okay then?
Yeah.
So hang on.
It's so fun.
So to start, I just need to.
Whereas with the well, it'd be interesting to do that. It's not true.
Right. In the dark. In the dark. Delighted to welcome now Nicola Chalmers and Sarah May with their presentation, audio sonic setup entitled Groundwork, Spelling It Out.
Things being stolen, and I feel very strongly aware of thievery, things being stolen from me.
Friday, the 18th of March, with Sarah May. Short.
Yeah, we should do something. Yeah.
Yes, it's so true. What was that? I think there was a little bit of that. Another raspberry. Massive one. Absolutely massive one.
Maybe we should have a realistic ask. Sorry, go on. Say what you. No, I was just going to say. I wonder if this piece is. Yeah. Light and circles, threading. Just make it. Yeah, obviously, it makes me think of. Yeah, where the my thoughts ended. I'd just like to turn all the lights off.
I mean, that's an idea. Virtual arm, virtual hand. You know, it's such a beautiful thought, that this kind of arm extension, extending arms, shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah, just 1 second now.
I love the idea of having something to kind of work towards and look forward to, and I had this idea that I was going to sit down. You know, I'm rambling. That's what we do. You just like. Oh, why was I saying that? Oh yeah, brilliant. Oh, how much? Okay. This is not good.
you know, I'm gonna write that. Yeah, write that down. Light and circles, threading, split, yeah. Obviously, I think the thing that sort of strikes me the most about it is the sensuality of the that is the stone becoming Claire's voice or the touch in the bath, which is associated with being connected to the earth, and there's a kind of vision, and I like that idea of moving sound. Does this make any fucking sense whatsoever? The word permission comes up for me. Yeah. Yeah, and I think a lot about the feminine, not necessarily women, but women as well, in relation to the earth. And the persecution of the earth and the persecution of women, and
I think what I do is kind of grab references, titles and images and then just stays underlined.
and how that kind of perpetual creation and the magic of the earth is a real threat.
I've also underlined mental viruses associated with late-stage capitalism.
And how important it feels to speak out about that.
Maybe that was cooking section.
Speak out about the knowing.
Sort of genuinely always surprised that something makes sense. Is that, I don't know, that means just don't hear. Also, that's perfectly allow for things.
I'm rambling because I feel like I have the knowing that is my own, but is also linked to generations of women and
Okay, Nick, you worry you're taking your time.
lifetimes.
We apologise.
Yeah, once you give it permission, it starts to open up more and more, and it feels radical. It feels violent sometimes, and it feels like it could be a threat.
Yeah, so what did we just say? We just said that.
But that's what I'm worried about. Nothing's gonna okay, sorry. Do you want it? You do what you say. I know you're panicking about standing up, but you don't even have to stand up. No. You can just like wheel you in. Just put those leg things to me. I'll bring them. Yes, the librarian. Yeah. Her other half was writing books. That's in the library.
All of that mystical energy, your hands all over the studio, the movement of the wall, something kind of moist, damp, mulchy, saliva, sort of clay tongues, sort of hanging off thread, and the web. There's a web in the Babylon Boom, the lick and roll. Can I just say, I love the images of the screenshots. I love the hands, I love the phone. They feel they feel quite mysterious. So something about sticks on the ground, which I love. I love to hear people practicing their images and visions and things down the way. Like I love to, it's like I'm feeling something when I hear someone practicing virtual hands, arm extension, down gardens or something. It's kind of meeting in the opposing world, and as much as our kind of individual worlds, I mean, they're not opposing, they do all come together as one, like they're entangled, like you say. But I guess they have kind of different tones to them. You know, life going on in other spaces, but you not actually kind of being present to that. I feel like I'm really at the edge of my vision, and I kind of might fall off. Yeah, but as you know, I'm thinking a lot about enclosure and life, and that kind of common ground of movement and us, and
Yeah, and that is what, when I reference something, that's what was killed when the land was privatised, is that women could talk to each other. And the conversation feels really, I mean, important to women in that we talk when they're children together, looking after their children. And it's something that's also weird. The literary stories like gossips. We always spend the word so it's belittling, but it's actually a beautiful thing. So where ideas are formed and where we compare injustices as well. Because when you separate people, they can't read that, you can't hate each other on quite the same way. You're isolated in your house.
enclosed. My mind feels enclosed, but I feel enclosed, and
Okay, it's another theft, isn't it?
this idea that let's keep talking about it all.
So yeah, that's what's happening here.
Eliza, I don't know where you are. I'm going to just ponder this pond. It's such a beautiful area there, isn't it? It's such a, now we're talking about it, I just keep remembering how beautiful it is there. And yes, enclosure and land and keep on the grass. That was a tiny, beautiful little duck pond near where we were staying. And just a don't walk on the grass. I thought, what do you mean don't walk on the grass? Okay. It feels absolutely desperate idea that I was going to sit down. So yeah, I sat down. But yeah, you know, it's gonna cost us.
Great, thank you both so much. And then we'll move on to the final presentation. No questions from
Unless anyone
Thank you
has
very much. The final presentation is on Zoom, so I'm now going to switch to Zoom back on. Oh, sorry. So please bear with me a second. Mass, yeah. I'm going to join Zoom. Okay. That's sorry, guys. I've joined Zoom. Maybe It's all right. Sorry, I took my eye off it, everyone. Here we go. Here's Laura.
Hi, hello everyone.
We hear you. Okay, so I need to leave this person, so just give me 5 seconds to do this. Thanks, everybody. Next door.
Just let me know when it's all good and I can start. I cannot hear you in the room, so I assume by the gesture that I see that I can start. But if someone can say that it's all good. I cannot see the chat, so yeah, but yeah, okay, I can go. All good. All right, so yeah, if you can all hear me, it's fine. So my name is Laurane Goff. I am a ecologically engaged costume maker and textile artist. I just graduated last week actually from the MA Art and Science in Central St. Martin's, London. And I've been working on directing and creating a dance performance this year that I'm going to talk to you about today. So it's called Sympoiesis, which is maybe a term that you heard about already. Originally coined by Beth Dempster, it means making together as making with other species. So I've been really inspired by this term, and as I'm going to explain in the presentation, all of the performance is about telling the stories of other than human species. For me, it's something that is quite important, as in my activist journey, I came to understand that one of the main problems that we have and that leads to the ecological and social crisis that we are going through right now is the way that we relate with others and other species in a larger way. So that's the reason why I started to work on such a project. Before going into more depth, I'm just going to show you a video that is like the teaser of the performance. Hopefully it's gonna work and everyone can hear it. It's just 2 minutes, and like this you will have a glimpse of an idea of what I'm talking to you about.
About where they come from.
All right, so yeah, that was the whole teaser, and I'll be able to show you a bit more of the performance later on in the presentation. So as you might have seen in the teaser, the performance is structured in two parts. The first one is mainly about a plant that was in my home during lockdown. It's an Alocasia zebrina, and I came to know her very well after a few months. So you can see a picture on the right. And the second part of the performance was about slime mold. So it's Physarum polycephalum. It's a very interesting organism as well that I came to know in the lab that we have at Central St. Martin's. So why did I choose these two organisms? The first, so the plant, it come from a project that we had during my master's, where we just had to choose a site, and it was obviously during lockdown, and I just became curious about this plant, and I was wondering what was the story that lead her to my apartment, and I became interested in all kind of questions regarding her life that led me to ethical questions as well, the way that we grow plants in lab, and obviously also more philosophical questions like the care and ethics that we should need to engage in a proper relationship, and not just me using it as an ornament for my apartment, for example. And the second organism, so it came later. I spent approximately like 2 or 3 months on each, but the methodology was the same. So it's methodology in between art and science, trying to be as less not intrusive, but trying to connect with them in a way that would not be to use them in a utilitaristic way. So obviously sometimes you cross the line, and I very quickly realized that I will not be able to tell only their stories, but also my own in relation with them. So yeah, let's move on to the dance part. So very early in the research, I wanted to do a performance with movement, and I think it connects very well with a sentence that the first presenter, Lin, said about the fact that moving and improvisation change the focus and brings us brings us to connect with other possibilities of being sentient to the world. So yeah, I knew very early that I wanted to work with movement, so I contacted dancers, and I basically transmitted them my journey with the two species and all of the questions that I raised and the research, and together with time we developed ways of transcribing those research into movements. And one other part of the performance was the sound. So I've been collaborating with a sound artist who is doing his PhD research on sound and movement interaction. He created the little sensors that you might have seen on the video and that you can see on the right, top right side of the screen. Those sensors basically brings a new sense for the dancers, as they create a sound that is linked to each dancer. So it's like a mark for each individual, like a sound mark, but it's a mark that allows the other people of the group to know where they are and how they are moving, and it was very interesting to see how the dance changed and became way more organic through this process. The two other pictures that you can see is the method that we use to create the basic data to shape the music. So it was also a collaboration here with Anshuman Gupta, who is was a MA biodesign student. He created this little device where you can just touch the two little sensors here, and the machine will transcribe your frequencies, yeah, if we can say that, into data, and this data can be transformed into music. So I've done that for myself, for the slime mold, for the plant, and it was the base that we used to create the music. Obviously, it was mixed and all that, but that was the kind of core idea. And now, so for me, obviously, I'm a costume maker. So one of the important research was the costume and how to step away from something that is too figurative, how to find a way to connect with, to connect non-human species and story, but telling it with human bodies. So all of these research was very interesting and happened in very different ways for the two organisms. So for the first one, who was the plant, so you can see here in the middle one of the drawing that I've done. I came to create this shape that is inspired by the shape of the leaves, and to see like what was the kind of sculptural possibilities and qualities that it holds in itself. And as you can see on the picture, on the photograph from a rehearsal, it became an object that moves with the human bodies, that became a second skin. And what you can see on the right is the fabric that I choose to use. So because the plant was always inside, I choose to upcycle curtains, and I printed a pattern on them. This pattern that you can see, these different patterns, they are electron density maps of a crystal that is actually inside the plant leaves, and that allow her to not being eaten by insects. Yeah, so it's a pretty cool thing that she's doing, and that I thought was interesting to use, and also because the patterns, as you can see, are quite extraordinary. So here you can have pictures of the final performance. So the first part is a solo, and the dancer is dancing on a sound played by the musician live, and it's quite narrative. It's really following the story of my relationship with the plant, and all of the question that came as well. So because we couldn't really see it during the teaser, I'm just going to show you 1 minute of the final performance.
On the floor. some ornament for the apartment. I was struck by its beauty, with such a huge leaves and patterns on the stems. I want to get to know it, but how? I do not want to cut it, I cannot measure it, I cannot discuss with it. Common name, elephant ear. Taxonomy ID 11328227. Published in 1863, Alsace's breed is exclusively found a single island in the Philippines, Luzon. I searched for what my society discovered about her species, its kingdom, family, its classification, history, way of life, development.
I'm just going to stop here because I'm afraid for time, and I want to have time to discuss things with you. But I will put the link to the final video in the chat. So if you're interested in looking the whole performance, you can do that on your own time. So I'm just going to say a few words about the second part and the costumes, the process of creating the costumes for the second part. It was so about the slime molds, and so the slime mold is an organism, Physarum polycephalum specifically, is a unicellular organism that is able to expand and map the space in a very clever way. It can even solve mazes and all of that, but it's another story. But if you want to know more about the slime molds, they are pretty cool organisms. And yeah, so I wanted to share through the project and the costumes my relationship with them. So not talking about them in a general way or in a way that, you know, like other researchers can speak about them, but really trying to share the story of what I've been through, what I've discovered by going to the lab every day and trying to get to know them. So obviously it's not that easy. You don't have a lot of ways to communicate with them, and all of the information that you got will only come from you. So it was quite important to find a way to position myself in the work, and also the position of a scientist, which I think is interesting and problematic in many ways. But you know, when you enter a lab, you have to put this lab coat on, and I just thought that it's a very interesting garment that has a very important story. So I made those lab coats, but completely transparent in silk. And underneath, I wanted to find a way to bring the slime molds, but in a way that would make sense to create a notion of group and to question the notion of individual, and to deform the human body. So I found that using tights as something that is so close to human skin would be of interest. So I upcycled damaged tights, cut them into thread, and create the crochet pieces that I then place by hand on mannequin and then stitch them on the cat suit that I've made as well. So yeah, here you can see some of the picture of the final piece, and the idea as well was to have each dancer with one part of its body covered with the slime moldy shape, and that if you look at the group, each of them will be part of the whole that they create together. Yeah, I hope it was okay, and that you get everything. I'm happy to explain a bit more certain things or to answer to any questions. So just let me know. I cannot hear you, Kat. You're on mute.
There you go. I think you can hear me now. Thanks ever so much, Laurane. So we've realised we've got to do a little bit of a hack, that we can't have both your the audio from Studio 3 and your audio at the same time, because it creates feedback for the people in Studio 3. So okay. I'm here with you in this live space, and the people in Studio 3 can see and hear me. So just inviting anyone in either the online space or in Studio 3 to raise any questions. And if you do have a question, then Maz will relay it to us in the chat. So sorry for such a complicated hack, but so is there any question from anyone on in the online space first? Well, I don't think so. Nothing's coming in. But are there any questions for Laurane from the floor? Maz, if you haven't got any questions, can you let me know?
I'm just putting in the chat the link to the clip and the long version if anyone is interested.
So there's a question here from Caroline Hassler that says, how did you first come to want to work with movement?
Yeah, so my first project with where I found that movement was necessary to connect with the other than human is a project called Dance the Amazon, where I created like a costume during a residency in the Amazon rainforest, and I wanted to find a way to make it alive and share different stories, and so I sent it to dancers from around the world. It's still going on at the moment, so if anyone is dancer and interested, please let me know. But yeah, so I think it was like the first time where I kind of understand that if we want to share a story of diversity, complexity, that can put us one step away from our very anthropocentric view and try to connect on other things around us, dance could be the good place to start. But I'm not a dancer myself. Yeah, I just really love working with dancers.
Fantastic. So so there's a question here asking, have you performed your dance to the plant?
No, I haven't. As I said, I'm not a performer, and I'm already a lot of things, and I don't want to step to be something that I'm not. I'm really happy trying to direct and create projects with amazing performers that will know to do it way better than I can. So I'm not interested in performing it myself, but it doesn't mean that I can't rely to the topic or actually feels the reason why I'm making them do that. I feel as an audience you can also question yourself and experience a lot of things, and I I think so, and I hope so. And I think when you are like directing a piece, or when you go to the theater, you know, you don't need to be on stage to have an experience of the results. So I'm trying to create projects that are like strong enough to share something to an audience. Yep.
Great, thank you very much. Are there any more questions for Laurane? Just allowing that delay, just in case somebody's asking a question. Not from here, so no questions in Studio 3. Anything from them, from the online audience? Well, if there isn't anything for you, Laurane, thank you ever so much for your presentation. I'm glad that we could hear you, and thanks for all your patience as we were running around trying to make everything work. It's great that you could join us here in Dartington from where you are in London.
Yeah, thank you so much. I completely forgot to say at the beginning that I was really happy to be here and to have the possibility to present my project, and I'm really sorry not to be here with you in Dartington. So I hope you'll have a great time there, and I'm going to continue to follow you online.
Fantastic, thanks ever so much. And for everyone wherever you are, this is now a break time of an hour. I think it's an hour and 20 minutes actually, so plenty of time to have a look around the grounds wherever you are and dance to plants, and we'll see you all soon. So thanks very much.
Thank you.